Jeff does look like a superstar. I'm going to go ahead and have Kelly Mather lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Thank you, Madeline.
You're welcome.
All right. City Clerk, would you care to do the roll call?
Yes, and before I do the roll call, we'll announce that Councilmember Agramonte and our City Attorney Jeff Walter are joining the meeting by teleconference, and Councilmember Cook is absent. So Vice Mayor Henley?
Here.
Councilmember Harrington?
Present.
Mayor Harvey?
Present.
Thank you.
Great. We had no closed session. We have no reason to report on one. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember, Vice Mayor Henley?
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington?
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte?
Aye.
And Mayor Henley? I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Harvey?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mayor Harvey.
It's a little frazzled.
It's all right. It's a little rough today. This time I'll go ahead and open for public comment. The public may comment on any item not on the agenda. It is recommended to keep your comments under 3 minutes or less under the state law unless otherwise permitted under the Ralph M. Brown Act. The merits of this matter presented under this item cannot be discussed or enacted upon by the City Council at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to comment on the item when it comes up on the agenda. Upon being acknowledged by the mayor, please step to the podium and speak your name. Public comment is open.
Ken Brown, 1396 Lubick, in the safe city of Sonoma. The Sonoma Valley Housing Group respectfully requests of the Sonoma City Council adopt a moratorium on evictions for 60 days or during the duration of the coronavirus epidemic, whichever is longer. As the council is probably aware, the cities of San Francisco, San Jose, Sacramento, and Los Angeles are moving to adopt such a moratorium, and housing advocates in Santa Rosa are encouraging that council to do the same. As well, we are urging the Board of Supervisors to adopt a moratorium on evictions in the unincorporated areas of Sonoma County, including El Verano and the Springs, and importantly, including mobile homes. In recent years, the citizens of Sonoma have done a great job of responding to the serious emergencies we have faced: 2 major fires and a number of lengthy power outages. But during those emergencies, we have learned that many of our residents living paycheck to paycheck, unable to work for weeks at a time, have struggled with difficulty of meeting their rent. And we know that many have been forced out of their homes by eviction or the threat of eviction at the roughest of times. Now we are facing another such emergency, with kids home from school, work curtailed, people to self-quarantine, and the prospects of having to take care of sick relatives. It is time to act based on our experience and the strong sense of community that these emergencies bring, relieving our most economically threatened and in many cases our most important residents of their fares and keeping them housed in these trying times. It's simply the right thing to do. Therefore, we strongly request that you adopt a moratorium on evictions for the duration of this deadly epidemic. This is brought to you by the Sonoma Valley Housing Group. Justice Grown and cell towers are waiting for their turn to speak to this council. Those issues are not going away and becoming more present. Finally, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Anyone else rising for public comment?
Hi, good evening, Caitlin Cornwall. I just wanted to, things are evolving, of course, very, very fast, and I know a lot of you are involved in conversations about how to address the crisis, but I just wanted to let you know, and I have a couple copies of this, just in a relatively preliminary sense. Several of us are talking about trying to coordinate a few different strands to provide cash assistance to people during the fires and the power shutoffs, for example. La Luz had a great program working with Fish to provide cash assistance to people to cover rent and short-term needs. Their capacities aren't up to this crisis. We were just talking to Juan about this today, but their model is really good. And so several of us are just talking about how to, whether it's possible to create sort of a unified front entry point where we could sort of maximize donations from the community in this crisis and have them feed out to a number of different populations that are in need. Because it's not just the very lowest income people who are hit really hard by this, not just the Spanish-speaking community, but a whole range of people, including, the middle class and some of our owners of beloved local businesses. So this is just in preliminary stages right now. I just wanted you to know about it. I don't think it's inconsistent with all the other stuff that everyone's talking about. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Caitlin.
And you may want to stay because that's actually agendized for later this evening.
Yeah.
Oh, that particular.
That's on the agenda.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to speak about it. Thank you. Okay. Great. Seeing no one else rise for public comment, I'll go ahead and close the matter. Move on to meeting dedications. Madeline, I understand that you have a meeting dedication you'd like to make?
I do, and, I do. And I wanted to dedicate this meeting tonight to Benjamin Warren Pedronzini. Most people know him by the name of Benny. Benny passed away peacefully at Sonoma Valley Hospital on March 6th with his wife Rosemary by his side. I'm sure many of you who have been around the city council for a while, you remember Rosemary and her husband Benny. He enlisted in the U.S. Navy, serving his country for 4 years during the Korean conflict. He was inducted to the Sonoma Valley High School Dragon Hall of Fame in 2012 for football. A proud member of the Native Sons of the Golden West Parlor, 111, Sons of Italy, and the Moose Lodge. Ben is survived by his wife of over 60 years, Rosemary, his daughter Roxanne, and a wonderful son-in-law, Rob. And his brother-in-law, James or Jim Karabocious, would like people to know he was the best guy he ever knew. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Great. Move on to item 3.1. The presentations have been canceled. We had a 2020 census presentation by Sonoma County. That presentation has been canceled. So we're going to be moving on to the consent calendar. I have a question here, Kathy. Do we need to pull these items off the consent calendar so that we can speak about them? Item 4.1 and 4.3.
Anything that you want to speak about would need to be pulled off consent, and we can do that.
Great. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of council, staff, or public request specific items to be removed for separate action. At this time, council.
Could I pull 4.3, please?
Yes. And I think, does anybody else want to pull an item off the consent calendar?
I would like to pull 4.4.
And we'll pull item 4.4 as well. Is there a 4.4? I don't see one on my agenda. Great. Okay, so we're pulling item 4.3 and 4.4. Great. Okay, so can we have a motion on the consent calendar for items 4.1 and 4.2?
Public comment.
Public comment? Oh, yeah. Can we open the floor for public comment on the consent calendar? Items 4.1 and 4.2 only. Seeing no one rise, I'll close it.
Motion to approve items 4.1 and 4.2 of the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Hunley,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you.
So go to item 4.3, authorize a partnership in the California Container Redemption Pilot Program, including approving a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute and the MOU between the City of Sonoma and Sonoma County Waste Management Agency regarding application and implementation of CRV pilot project grant. City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Harvey, and I'll just do a brief overview, and then Councilmember Agramonte can maybe ask any questions. This is, the item here is to work with Zero Waste. They are doing a redemption pilot program with a number of cities to try to get a place where people can turn in recyclables. And so this is a model coming off the East Coast that will let us have a mobile location that will be shared. And so in order to participate with this, the city needs to you need to authorize me to sign a memorandum of understanding, and then also any other execution. So that is the resolution that's in front of you. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Questions from council? Go ahead and bring this out for public comment. Seeing no one rise, I'll bring it back to the council. Madeline Agramonte.
Are you can I have a comment?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm going to you for. Please comment.
Okay, thank you. You know, I just wanted to let everyone know it's only $1 million. It's not a lot of money, and I think there are 5 cities in Sonoma County competing for this grant. So some way we have to make lots of noise. I don't know what that means. I have no idea, but we need to be in the forefront of this to make sure that we do have that need. You know, we have a lot of seniors that lost their recycling centers, and this would be a great idea. It's a mobile trailer that, you know, the CRVs that you put in a bag is actually coded, and you have an ID number. So it's really low labor, and obviously people get their money back because it's identified by their ID number. I think it's a great program, but I just want everyone to know that it's tough. It's going to be a tough competition for these funds. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madeline. I really appreciate your work on this with Zero Waste Sonoma. You're doing a fantastic job, and I appreciate your leadership on this, as well as the Fare Free Bus. You always seem to find something to go for, and you go for it. So this is, you know, what you would call people business. And great job. Thank you for the work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else making comment on this item? No? Great. Can we get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Hunley,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries
Great.
4-1.
Move on to item 4.4, adopt a resolution ratifying the proclamation of a local emergency issued by the Director of Emergency Services due to COVID-19 and authorize $100,000 from the emergency reserves for community support and resiliency initiatives. City Manager.
So we actually, our intention was to have a presentation and have this be a regular item, pulling it off consent. So I do have a PowerPoint I'll ask our city clerk to put up. And as council knows, as a city manager, when we have an emergency, it's my role to serve as the emergency services director, and then the state law gives us authority, gives city managers or the emergency services director the authority to issue an emergency proclamation, then the council has to ratify it 7 days after. So what I want to do is that's one of the actions in front of you tonight, is to ratify that proclamation. I also have some other recommendations, but I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity of us being here tonight to provide some broader information to the community. And I did ask some of our representatives from Sonoma Valley Hospital to come and speak, and also the Chamber of Commerce. So just felt like it was a place that we could provide some information, and then we'll put this out to the public more for folks that are not watching tonight. So briefly, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a current status. If you go to the next slide. We'll talk about the proclamation, a little bit about city operations and what's coming over the next few weeks, some challenges that we're going to face as a community, what individuals can do, a recommendation that I'm having to you to an allocation for reserves to work on community support and resiliency, and where to go for information. So current situation, and as you all know, this is changing almost minute by minute, but in terms of where we stand right now, there are 5 cases currently in Sonoma County, and at least 2 that may be community spread versus the first 3 that came from outside travel. There is surveillance testing underway in the county to try to provide a better understanding of how widespread the virus might be. I think everyone is aware that yesterday Governor Newsom issued new guidelines to close bars, winery tasting rooms, winery tasting rooms, brew pubs, and to restrict restaurants to half their existing capacity. And he also recommended self-isolation for individuals 65 years or older or anyone with underlying health issues. I think one thing that just is important, and we're in this situation for us to understand, this is an emergency that is being led by public health professionals, whether it's the CDC, the California, the state of California, and it is their Department of Public Health, or Sonoma County and the local county of public health and the public health officer. As cities, we do not have public health expertise. We don't have epidemiologists. We have to rely on our medical experts and to follow that guidance. And things are definitely moving quickly. But when a public health official, whether it's the state or the governor, through the public health or a county public health officer, they can put out guidance or advisements, or they can put out orders. If they become orders, they are as enforceable as law. And we have been in a world of advisement. There still is some advisement, but those are strong advisements. Those are not soft recommendations. They are strong advisements, but then we're starting to see some things move as orders. So folks, once it's an order, it is a law, and everyone really needs to pay attention and follow that. I know sometimes the language has been confusing, so I just wanted to really clarify that going forward. The other change that happened today in this, there are 6 Bay Area counties that have issued shelter-in-place orders beginning tomorrow: Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara. In those counties, their situation is ahead of us, so they're stepping to that place. We do not have any news from Sonoma County. I'm sure that will be a question, but I am sure and know they are actively evaluating their next steps. But we don't know whether this will, whether a shelter in place will come for Sonoma County or when, but they are actively looking at it. And you just need to know those other Bay Area counties, they have more cases. They're kind of on the fronter end of this, the more front end of this curve than we are. Next, I'd like to ask our local medical experts from Sonoma Valley Hospital, and we're so lucky to have a hospital that is affiliated with UCSF, and I think that has been really crucial. So I'd like to first start and ask Kelly Mather, the CEO, to come up, and then with her is Dr. Sabrina Kidd, who is our Chief Medical Officer. So I just really want to thank Kelly. We have been communicating constantly in the past week or so, and so just really appreciate the leadership of you and your team. And I think that's, so with that, I'll turn it to Kelly Mather.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you, Kathy. We have, especially over the weekend, talked about every hour. So you have a very hardworking, as you know, city manager, and the team together, as I think we pulled together very well. So we are on day 14 of our Incident Command Center being open. We were on the end of the curve as far as what was happening with COVID-19. Again, not having any community transmissions announced until Saturday. Right now, most important, and I think you've all mentioned that you want to ask about testing, we do have 50 tests at the hospital. We have only used 9 of those tests. We only test people who are symptomatic. And Dr. Kidd, who I'll introduce next, will be able to answer any more specific questions about that. We at the hospital are in the midst of creating a cohort unit. It was our second floor of the hospital that was now closed and for outpatient services, but we are opening that for the patients that have either their rule out COVID or they are positive. Most hospitals will, if they have not already seen some COVID positive patients. Most of them are coming into the emergency department and going home with self-isolation. So we're not seeing that many severe, and that's happening with UCSF. Any other questions that I can answer, I'm happy to do, and then I'll bring Dr. Kidd up as well.
I wonder if we should hear from Dr. Kidd and then maybe come back with questions?
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilmember, sorry.
That's fine.
I'm Dr. Sabrina Kidd. Thank you for having us. I'm happy to answer any questions if you like. Some questions were sent to me ahead of time that were coming around. I can start with those and give you a few other updates and then answer any additional ones. One thing that I want to address before I go to the testing questions is I know a lot of information has been circulating in the communities. People have obviously been told to reach out, specifically call their primary care providers. We have been in close contact with those in the community. We have put together resources for them, including letters that are samples of what patients should do, and encourage them to personalize those and send those out to their individual patients, as they are essential to this process. We also have found basically on the spot set up telehealth platforms that they can use, and we are helping them with that as able. This is really, as Kathy mentioned, obviously we're taking all of our direction as well from the CDC and the CDPH and other public health entities and enacting those as well, and carrying out basically their orders and recommendations. As far as testing, this is obviously at the center of many people's questions. Why is there not a broader regimen in place? The biggest reason is the kits are not available. I know that is very hard to accept. That is not a situation that we're unique to. It is across the country. There's political reasons behind this, as we're all aware, but that is the reality. There are test kits available 2 different ways. One is through the Department of Public Health. Those are reserved for a certain class of patients. They consider these persons under investigation. They've given us a general criteria of when to notify, and these all include symptomatic patients. These do not include asymptomatic patients. So when patients come to us and they meet the criteria that we've been instructed to follow, if they meet the Department of Public Health criteria and we feel they need testing, we call the Department of Public Health and see if they approve that test. If so, we orchestrate that and get it sent, and the turnaround time on that has shortened to be around 24 hours, depending. It was longer at first, it's a little shorter now. It does vary depending on the time of day, pickups, etc. The other method that thankfully has been open to us, but is still in process, is Quest or LabCorp started doing testing nationwide about a week ago now. It opened up last Monday, I believe. That testing is something we have to collect on our own. Quest sites cannot do any specimen collection on their own. It is up to facilities to collect those specimens, already have an existing lab account, arrange transport, and sending those to Quest to do. Those can be done outside the DPH, Department of Public Health specific guidelines, so they are broader. That helps us be able to test healthcare workers and other people that may have other reasons that are not the ones that the Department of Public Health is continuing to track. However, there are some limitations to this. Again, their supplies are limited, as is their lab resources and their turnaround time. They initially told us that turnaround time would be 3 to 4 days. We can tell you that it is at least 4 days at this point, and we do not know when that will improve. Not having, obviously, quick turnaround times limits the utility of this testing, as well as does the fact that the number of test kits available limits it. So we are working with those guidelines, trying to triage the most important people, and not as far as one person's life being more important, but their impact and contacts and whatnot, to decide whom to test, following all of the guidelines that are coming out from the CDC and other sources with regards to this. When will more test kits become available? We do not necessarily know. We do know at this point we were being told we may get up to 10 available to us in addition each day. There are some other pockets that are maybes here and there, so it's a very fluid process. Of course, we are exploring all avenues and gladly taking what else we can get. Another big question is, why do we not have a drive-through type testing set up? Obviously, this has been well publicized that is thought to be part of South Korea's specifically success and low mortality rate, is they know who has the disease. Our low incidence has been well publicized. Even in Sonoma County, is likely that we are not testing. Our county being lower may be that we are not testing. We do not have that information. We need to thus treat it like there is community spread because our neighbors have it. What are we doing to try and get a drive-by up? We are in active talks. We are working with the community health center. Again, this is a very resource limited as far as staff, people being told to isolate, etc. We do hope to have some version set up within a week, if hopefully less. But again, this will at this time be limited access based on symptoms and screening criteria because of the number of test kits.
So what is the strategy for testing? We are following the following guidelines currently. One, symptomatic patients with a known exposure. A known exposure is travel to a level 3 country or a confirmed case. Also, patients who are symptomatic but yet negative for other respiratory illnesses. Because of limited supplies, most protocols at this time are following the process of if a person presents with symptoms, you first rule out the more common known diseases such as flu and respiratory syncytial virus and other things. And then those are very quick return times. Those are things we can do in-house. Therefore, after that information is obtained, we can proceed with COVID testing if indicated. We're also, like I said, unfortunately do not have the capacity to test for asymptomatic patients for the general public at this time. We all hope that changes, but at this time, that's where we're at. And I think those were the basics. Are there other questions I can answer?
I have a question. What are you preparing for in terms of the volume you expect to see at the hospital, and what are you doing to prepare for that?
As far as the volumes, it's completely unknown. At this point, I can tell you that I'm getting basically emails from colleagues in Washington State who say their hospitals are already overwhelmed, they're at capacity. The story of people's in hallways and not having adequate gowns, gloves, and masks is true, and that's in the United States. So redistributing resources is already a real issue in parts of our country. So we are really preparing for that scenario, and based on that, we are following the strictest WHO guidelines on reuse within appropriate measures of our goggles where we're allowed, our masks when we're allowed. We have followed the current CDC and WHO guidelines with kind of de-escalating the kind of mask that is needed, and except for certain what we call aerosolized procedures or active coughing patients, we are no longer needing an N95 mask. We're reserving those for the situations where it is absolutely necessary and not advising them a regular mask is sufficient for other situations. So because we are expecting or preparing for the complete unknown, we are 100% preparing for worst case scenario where we have very limited supplies and possibly out of beds. So as Kelly's mentioned, yeah, we are opening our second floor for capacity as well, which is an additional 25 beds locally, which is a lot.
What is the number that you're prepared to handle?
Right, yeah.
Well,
I knew that was what you asked.
yeah.
Okay, so we can handle 39 inpatients right now, and right now our census is 12.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those patients would be prioritized, meaning if they didn't need to be in the hospital, they could probably move to another site. Our skilled nursing facility is not taking any, as they should not, COVID patients at this time, but there are 27 beds there as well.
Mm.
So we actually have more capacity than a lot of hospitals.
Is there staff for that?
So again, a fluid question with, as of yesterday, and more recommendations coming of this, all elective surgical procedures are on hold or postponed. So we can pull staff from those areas, and that's what we're doing, is pulling people in as necessary. So we believe we will staff as best we are able.
Okay, I have two questions. One, what we've seen in other countries is they'll eventually set up kind of a COVID-specific wing where they're not. They allow nurses to continue working even if they've tested positive for the disease because they're treating patients that already have it. Is that something that the hospital has put in place? And then they have a separate wing where there's this for patients that don't have COVID, that then they're making sure the nurses are separated. Is that something that
So
exists?
we are already limiting personnel access to essential personnel only. We're repurposing a lot of things that are done by other staff. Nursing has the ability to also perform those duties, and so we are asking to minimize the number of people going into rooms through many different procedures. As far as what we call a cohort, which is putting everyone of the same disease in the same area, that is what we are preparing our second floor for. So yes, those are our plans. As far as allowing a person actually diagnosed with it to proceed, we have not really made a decision on that. However, it has been said that if a person is exposed and asymptomatic, they may continue to work.
Okay. Are there different locations within the community that are recognized as potential, like makeshift hospitals, say the Veterans Home or things like that? Is that, and if not, then is that just an ability of capacity of staffing that they have not been identified?
I'll let Kathy start and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, so those really, there are discussions and work underway by the county for those types of things, and the specifics are kind of not determined, but clearly, you know, in my mind, the Vets Hall is a place that we are kind of preserving. The county closed all Vets Halls to activity about, I don't know, days are running away, a couple days ago. So that has been our go-to location. It makes sense in a lot of ways, but that is all to be determined. So, and then the governor, you know, clearly there's a much broader state impact here. There's a broader military support as well. And so I think what we're potentially gonna see is, you know, the state coming in and kind of using, and national government as well assisting. So some of those things are still to be determined, but there is definitely planning initiatives and work underway.
Finally, how many beds will you have available for non-COVID patients that have just emergencies? Are we going to be able to keep a certain number of beds and doctors and things like that available?
So our third floor is going to be 24 beds, and that's what we're going to keep with non-COVID patients, and then the 18 for the COVID patients right now. That's our plan. Again, we'll see how it goes, but I do think that separating by floor makes more sense.
Are you reserving test kits for staff to ensure that your doctors and nurses have been tested?
Yes.
Good. Okay, thank you. Councilmember or Vice Mayor Hunley?
Great questions by my colleagues, but is there a chance that if a different area near us gets overwhelmed first, that they would send people to Sonoma Valley?
Yeah, definitely. The overflow, we've already talked with UCSF about options. And yeah, I mean, every hospital and our capacity, we're sending it in and we're looking at where we can put patients first. So we're communicating as a state with California Hospital Association and also communicating as a county as well.
So how does that work in terms of, you know, if it's just a timing thing and then this community becomes affected, but it's already full?
Right. Okay. So, well, Santa Clara County is a county that has had a cluster, and maybe Sabrina can jump in. And other hospitals are helping out. I mean, that's what we do. So we take the patients that are sickest first. We're not going to stop at county lines and say, stay here. If that's what you're asking, I don't believe we're going to do that.
No, I'm just wondering about sort of the timing and if it could be that if Sonoma was slower than the others and that people here would be at a disadvantage because everything would be full or used up by then.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think the best way to answer that question is we don't know, but a larger way to think about this is that, and if you look at worldwide, most other countries besides Italy and here that are ahead of us in the curve, what you're seeing is remember that when one place spikes, another one improves. Most people recover from this disease, so we now are passing that break point in many places, and we hope that if we flatten the curve correctly, the same would happen here. That if we help out our neighbors, they'll be able to help us, because then by the time we're in need, they will have beds. That's the natural course of this disease that we're seeing worldwide, and I would hope that would pan out here. But again, everything is statistical models at this time.
And this is probably an impossible question, but just based on what we're learning from other locations, is there like a general sort of time frame for the bump that as it happens?
So the predictions are that it still has not reached our area yet. That's why we are really increasing to prevent it and still possibly have the opportunity to flatten this curve, as you've heard the term. So most predictions, as you've seen, the reason for things being canceled for 2 to 3 weeks are depending on the exact centers and the testing information. They're updating it, but we are probably about 2 weeks out from the anticipated peak.
Councilmember Agramonte is on the phone. Does she have questions? That's unfortunate. If she wants to text our city manager, okay. Has she texted you any questions?
We should just say, I don't think your microphone's on, so the public doesn't know what you just said.
She lost sound, and Jeff did as well, Attorney Walter, and his came back, and we're actively working on hers now. She doesn't have a question except her sound yet, but I will let her know if she does, then we can text.
Okay, great. Another question I have is, you know, when did we start looking for tests? I mean, when did we start requesting these tests from the CDC? Was this done months ago? When were we starting to push for this kind of stuff to come out? Because obviously, you know, we'd like to have them as much as possible. I know that we're working as hard as we can to get them. When did we first start kind of making that request?
It's not really a request that we can make. This is our Department of Public Health, and it's for them to request from the CDC. It's not on a local basis. We have to go through our local Department of Public Health. So we've been in contact with them to get that information as it's become available. It has been the same for us as it has been nationwide. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I want to say first testing in the U.S. really became available on the local level about 3 weeks ago, roughly.
Okay. And then just the kind of, do you have another question, Councilmember
Yeah.
Harrington? Go.
This isn't a criticism because obviously we're doing the best we can and we're so lucky we have a local hospital, and thank you for all your preparations. But given the age of our population, it sounds to me like it's going to be woefully inadequate because probably a lot of people already do have it. And so what happens then specifically? I know UCSF was setting up tents in their parking lot. I mean, obviously that depends on healthcare workers to staff those tents. And so what are we going to do? Because assuming it does come here, what we have right now probably isn't enough.
I think we really don't know. What we can do is follow the shelter-in-place advisories and do our best to avoid that and keep working with our partners. There is not a magic solution, so it's every day. It's all the things we've talked about. It's all the preparation. It's treating anyone who can be treated at home, saving those beds for the critically ill. It's only coming to the emergency department if you need emergency care and not exposing yourself or your loved ones to other illnesses. It's all of those things that we can do ourselves at this time that'll make a difference.
And can the shelter in place only be enacted once public health recommends that, or?
That is a legal question, and we are, it's a conversation that we're talking about internally in terms of kind of just trying to understand. I think our goal is to work with the county to push and to continue to encourage them to be as aggressive as possible on the social distancing. So I am unclear
So I'd like to
legally.
know that.
I cannot answer that question for you.
I mean,
because-
later I would like to know the
yes.
answer. Because if 20% of this population, which is pretty senior, shows up at our hospital, it sounds like there's not going to be treatment.
I wouldn't say there's not going to be treatment, but we don't have enough ventilators for 20% of the population, but that's also not anticipated. The number that need ventilators are more like 2 to 3%.
Thank you. Do you have another question, or? Can you just to reiterate, since we are going to send this out to the public, what are the kind of populations that we see that are at greater risk to this? What are the sort of respiratory diseases that we see that make you at greater risk?
So the populations that are greater risk, I think the age cutoffs vary, but on whole, around 65 or older in general. That is like mostly because older individuals tend to have what we call comorbidities, other medical conditions. The ones that specifically put you at greater risk are pulmonary diseases such as COPD, chronic asthma exacerbations, underlying cancers, and underlying heart disease are the main ones. Diabetes has also been mentioned, but that's also highly variable. Well-controlled younger diabetics probably not near as much risk as older, poorly controlled. So it's a spectrum.
And what are the main things that our public can do to flatten the curve, as we say?
Stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. Wash your hands, and don't touch your face. And I think that's about it. Video conference, work from home. Really, just the self-isolation is key. If you don't have contact with somebody, you can't spread it.
And do you have a message for younger members of our community that feel, because they're not at higher risk for this, that it's okay to go out and?
Although younger members may not become ill from this, there's a lot of evidence that you may be asymptomatic vectors, and we don't know the degree of that. So you are equally important to the shelter in place and the survival of your older members. So some of the best guidelines I've read and trying to follow myself is stop treating the disease like you don't want to give it, or like you don't want to get it, and start treating the disease like you have it and you don't want to spread it.
Thank you. And I will say, for both myself and my wife and everybody in this community, but we grew up here, and so these older members of our community are our parents. These are our grandparents. These are extremely, extremely important people. These are loved ones to all of us. And it's very, very important that all of us work together to make sure that we flatten this curve, and we do everything that we possibly can to reduce the the harm and the spread of this disease, because these are extremely important people in our community. These are people who matter a lot. And let's all work together to make sure that that happens. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you both. I'd like to ask now Mark Bodenhammer, CEO of the Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce, to come up. As folks appreciate, this is going to have a major economic impact. Mark, as the council knows, we have an economic development contract, and Mark is with the chamber, and they've been a great partner. So Mark is here, I know, representing both our other economic engines, vendors and growers, and tourism. So I'll turn it to Mark.
Thank you, Kathy. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Mark Bodenhammer with the Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce. And yes, I do want to first start off by thanking Tim Zahner and Maureen Cottingham from the Vintners and Growers and the Visitors Bureau, in reverse order there. But they were key parts of helping me gather information, and it has really been an outstanding team effort with all three groups working together, because this is, frankly, an unprecedented situation for us. We have really two separate crises happening in the community. There's a public health crisis and there's an economic crisis. And the public health one is kind of new for us. But the economic crisis, I know you guys know this, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. This is our fourth or fifth in the last 2 years. And fires, floods, power outages, smokeouts, and now a global pandemic. So it's important for me to just let everybody know that, you know, normal business planning is you have a rainy day fund for things like this. The rainy day fund got tapped into the first thing, and you know, by now it's gone. So this is going to have a real and long-lasting economic impact on our community. The impact started weeks ago. Some of our hospitality businesses started to see some things happening. Obviously, it's kind of escalated in the last few days. Sorry. Tall person problems. So what are we doing? Right now, we are really focused on encouraging businesses to prepare for a long closure. What that means is finding access to funding that can potentially keep them alive if there is a sustained closure. I want to make sure to say out loud, there are a lot of resources available at sba.gov/coronavirus, including loan products that are available. There's an economic injury worksheet that businesses can fill out. We are happy to take them, and through our city manager, Kathy Capriola, and emergency management staff, we can bundle those and send them through emergency management people to get expedited and enhanced processing. Also, one other thing that is certain to happen here is a number of layoffs, and that's going to impact a lot of people in our community. I know today, I heard from some members of our business community that it was happening right now. So I do want to make sure people in the community who are facing either cut in their hours or they've been laid off or whatever, labor.ca.gov/coronavirus 2019 has resources for people who are facing challenges. They are waiving the 1-week waiting period for people who need unemployment benefits, and so I highly encourage people to get ahead of it, because obviously there's going to be, you know, we're not alone here. This is the entire state going through this. This is the world going through this, so there's going to be lines for all of these things. So really encouraging businesses to get out there, get your funding now, and get your employees, if you're having to cut their hours, to fill out that paperwork now as well. The Chamber is also currently working on finding information about commercial loan products, and so we'll be sending those out to not just our members, but anybody in the business community tomorrow to prepare for this. Again, we are working hard and in constant partnership with the Visitors Bureau and the Vintners and Growers. Right now, we are focused on putting together a list of what is open in our community. So there's going to be a Facebook page and a website called Sonoma To Go, and we're trying to figure out who's open, what services they're able to provide, and try to keep some of these businesses up and running as long as they can for those who are trying to make a go of it. It sounds like lots are choosing to close down right now, and some of them we may, you know, tomorrow morning they could be forced to close down. So we're going to try and keep them up and running as long as we can. We've put together a list of delivery services, so those are available on our webpage at sonomachamber.org/deliveries. That's for people who are looking for groceries, pharmaceutical supplies, pet supplies, and any other things. If you're sheltered in your house and you're not leaving, you can get almost anything that you need delivered to your house. So we will continue to work. All three organizations are closed to the public at the moment, but all three are staffed up. We're all working to do whatever we can to keep our economy flowing. We're also in touch with our county, state, federal representatives so that we can keep good information flowing and keep the businesses informed about what's going on, because it's a changing situation. This presentation I started putting together on Thursday, it's been erased and rewritten almost every 4 or 5 hours as we get through this. So. We sent out a notification to businesses asking for input on things that the city could do, and so I just want to briefly read those. Number one, suggestions. These are just direct from the business community. I didn't edit them, and and I'm not endorsing or suggesting them, but just want to have them read based on the fact that businesses took time out of this very complicated time period to send it in. So, work with landlords to ask for a rent deferral or forgiveness program for businesses that are forced to close. Create a sales tax refund program so that businesses can reinvest in themselves as we rebuild our local economy after this. Delay planned minimum wage increases so that we can keep as many jobs as possible. No new regulation on businesses that will create additional cost. Work with legislators to repeal AB 5 temporarily. Contract workers might play a vital role in keeping some businesses afloat. Assist with finding financial resources for businesses. Help with locating and distributing sanitation supplies. One person said now is the time to use city's reserves for economic help. Loosen restrictions on outdoor dining to allow for businesses, restaurant businesses to have 6 feet of separation and still use all of their tables. That may be functional now, that may get shut down, but I'm anticipating we'll probably have another time that's very much like right now, where businesses are able to open with social distancing. That's going to be, 2 weeks from now, maybe a month from now. We don't know when it is, but we want to be prepared for that. This is sort of a long-term suggestion, but consider repurposing the parking slots on the business side of the plaza streets for either for either restaurant dining or making that a walkway if we put the sidewalks to use as a facility. Install picnic tables in the plaza to make that a to-go dining area. Hire temporary staff to assist with sanitizing public spaces. Just a couple more. Lower the TOT tax temporarily to help businesses. Consider wage credits for businesses that are keeping people employed and on payroll during a shutdown. Coordinate food distribution network to help the community. Pay restaurants to make food for local folks in need. Assist with the curbside pickup program. And another delay the wage increase. So again, I think what we're trying to do is to get ourselves ready, to get the business community ready, and get the community as a whole ready for what's coming next. This is changing so fast we can barely keep on top of it. So we need to be ready for kind of the next shutdown phase, if that is going to be something that's mandatory. And then again, getting ready for another period that's like this, where we're limited and we want to have a good plan in place so that we can kind of have that half engine running for a while before we get into the full restart of our economy. This is absolutely going to last. Even when it feels normal to us in the community, it's going to be months and maybe years for the businesses to really recover from this. It's, we're a hospitality community, so much of it is based on reputation and momentum and things like that. And so this is going to be very challenging. I do want to publicly commend the business community, who I've seen over the last couple of weeks adapt and change and move quickly, and they are going so far out of their way to keep their customers safe, to keep their employees safe. And I've had conversations with people today who are doing everything they can to try and take care of their employees who, are likely going to be in a very terrible situation over the next couple of months if there is a sustained shutdown. So I want to thank those businesses who took time out of their day to help get me informed for this presentation so we could share information, and really just want to ask the community to rally together. Again, it seems like we say this every, couple of months, unfortunately, but it's time to dust off our, Sonoma Strong hats and foam fingers and keep these guys going. This is, if this lasts more than a couple of weeks, our business community is going to look very different. There are going to be businesses that you are used to seeing around our plaza and throughout Sonoma Valley that are just gone. And this is going to have impact on the business owners who are, families and neighbors, and this is going to have a real lasting impact on our community. So we need your support, and I thank you guys for all the efforts you guys have made, and we'll be here to help, do everything we can.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate the presentation. Do we have questions? Councilmember Harrington?
Not really. Thank you so much, Mark.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Mark, actually, is the Sonoma Chamber going to have links to those websites that you mentioned for business owners and for employees up on the page?
Yeah, right now we have the delivery page set up, but we are in the process of putting together the Sonoma to Go page so that people can get informed about what businesses are open. But yes, they're up on our Facebook page now. We've sent them out in an email, but we'll get them up on our web page as well with the links.
And then for the links for small business loans and things like that for businesses within our community, and then for the employees of those businesses who may be experiencing layoffs and cuts.
For sure, we will be promoting those heavily, and we want to make sure everybody has access to those. And again, can't stress enough the importance of timing. Even if you it's a mild impact right now, go ahead and fill out the forms and get yourself in line, because this is global. Everybody is going to be hurt by this, and so every business in the country could be applying for that same SBA loan. Every employee in California or whatever, 80% of employees in California might have economic hardships that they'd be asking for help with. So, time's of the essence. We'll be blasting it out as much as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate all your work on this, and I appreciate our business community and the difficult situation that they find themselves in, that we all find ourselves in at this moment. Kathy?
Great. All right. So really appreciate our partners coming out and being part of this presentation tonight. Just some brief updates on some city items. So we are actively working and have been with Sonoma County EOC, Sonoma County Public Health, also the hospital, the clinic, and the school district, and our nonprofit partners. So there's regular conversations. The Sonoma City managers, we are constantly talking, texting, sharing, brainstorming, working this collaboratively as much as we can. As I mentioned at the very beginning, as the Emergency Services Director, I did issue an emergency proclamation on Thursday, March 12th. What this allows us as a city is it gives the city broad emergency powers, potential for mutual aid, cost reimbursement, et cetera. And so the proclamation is on the agenda tonight for the council's ratification, which is required. A few other things that we're as a city doing, we are shifting to essential services. So police and fire operations are fully operational, and we are maintaining essential maintenance functions. Our emergency operations center is open, active, and virtual, and we will have staff answering phones, etc. I think one thing that's important to talk about, the water quality and water delivery will not be threatened. There's no reason to buy bottled water. We have amazing water, and that is all still in great shape. We are going to, because as the city focuses on this emergency, we are going to shift our staff to be able to respond to the community and do other work. So we are moving to essential services. We also want to make sure we're protecting the public and protecting our staff. So City Hall and the courtyard will be closed to the public walking in tomorrow, but we will be on the phones. There will be a sign outside. Folks can use their cell phone and call if we need to do appointments. But again, we're moving to essential services. We're shifting employees to teleworking, those employees that would not be involved in essential services. And then we're making sure that our employees are ready to serve as disaster service workers as this all unfolds. The contact information there is on the side, and we'll be putting out more information. The police department, that public counter will remain open. Folks can come in from 9 to 5, and that is available. Fire stations are also ending the public access. Again, there'll be people inside, can take calls, can answer phones, but really trying to make sure that our emergency service workers, that we're protecting their health so we can respond as needed. I'm also recommending that we cancel all public meetings through Sunday, April 5th at this point. I don't see anything that we had on our council agenda that can't be pushed or dealt with. And if we would need some kind of a special meeting, we have the ability, and I can pull you into a room and we can have a special meeting. But this really lets us focus on responding to the emergency. And as we've tried today, and I want to thank our city clerk, Rebecca Barr, who jumped on figuring out the Zoom technology today. And I know it's been a little clunky, but we're all going to get a lot better at it. And we'll be looking at different ways that we can run our public meetings and still have public access as we move forward. Yeah, and so we are, at this point, we'll be working on our public comment and how that can come through. If anyone on this presentation is watching tonight, wants to make any public comment, they can email City Hall at Sonoma City, different.
We've actually set up a dedicated public comment that will only be used for public comment, and it's publiccomment@sonomacity.org. That'll be listed.
So we'll be working that through. But really want to encourage people to watch live stream, and we'll be putting out new ways that you can communicate as we hold public meetings. It's just some of the, I don't think this is any surprise to folks, but some of the challenges that we're going to be working through as your local city in this emergency is clearly we have a large senior population, and those folks are at risk. They're going to be isolated, and they're more susceptible to this virus. There also is going to be food insecurity and expanded need for meal programs, and there's a lot of work in that area that's going to be needed. The other thing that's become crystal clear, talking to some of our nonprofits, again, our core volunteer base, not all, because we've got amazing people that volunteer in this town, but a core group of people that do some of the daily work for our nonprofits are people that are 65 and older, and those people now are self-isolating. So we are going to need new folks to come out and volunteer. I'm not asking people to jump forward and volunteer now. We'll be putting information out. We'll be being precise about what we need, but we are going to need that. And then Mark has already talked about the business and workforce impacts. So the other item on the council agenda tonight is once we've declared an emergency, there is funding ability, and I have the ability to kind of respond and do it, and we need to acquire different services, et cetera, and be able to respond. This emergency is a little different, though. There is this community impact that is different than a fire, different than a flood, and this is going to be longer. So out of your emergency reserve, I am recommending that you make a $100,000 budget allocation. I'm calling it a community support and resiliency initiatives. I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. I think there's a variety of things that it could be used for, and I think we'll know more about what we need as this moves forward. The one advisement I want to make to council is I think this is kind of a one-time option for us. So we need to be judicious and kind of careful about how we use this funding. The rest of our reserves, based on what may happen to our economics, we are going to need to fund kind of core critical city operations. So I think this is important to do. I don't, there could be a small bit for rental assistance. It could be a whole variety of things. I don't know. There's systems. There's kind of a new infrastructure we're going to need to put in place as a community to support our community. So I'd like to have a subcommittee from the council to work with me on this. And then on this, I think we're going to want to go slow a little bit on how we use some of this funding. But I think it's important to have some of this available to us in a different way. So just a few other, just want to reiterate what we talked about earlier, the individual action that's needed. People need to follow the guidelines and follow the orders. We also need to take care, kind of practice self-care. And this may seem, I would really encourage, if you haven't tried meditation, you need to calm yourself down, you need to get in your body, you need to meditate some. It's super helpful. It's been helpful to help me sleep the last couple nights, and I just would, don't poo-poo it until you try it, but really practice some self-care, support your friends and neighbors, don't hoard, we'll get through this. Obviously, all the cleanliness. Just a few other things, we have a lot of practice as a community doing this. I think that's important in a variety of ways. And one thing I do want to say that I think really positions us well is we have really strong relationships within the valley, within our business community, within the city, within the county. So, and it's all becomes personal when we're working this. So I think there's clearly a challenge, but I think we've had a lot more practice than a lot of other communities, and I have great confidence in our ability to come together. So just the last slide here is where to find information. things are moving so fast, so quickly. We are trying to put information out, but I'm not going to have our website necessarily be constantly up to date. People really knew I would go to Sonoma County, the socoemergency.org, go to Sonoma Valley Hospital. Those really are the public health information. We'll be putting out and try to keep kind of the local, what's happening local for us out. And then Sonoma 211, if you have general questions, also that is a place for the public to call if you have questions, and they will get you answers. And then the phone number for and access to public health is also on the screen. And this will also all be on our website. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions of the council. Council members, I do just want to say you all have great relationships, expertise, and your role is really important in this emergency. There's going to be things I'm going to need your help on and ask you to do. I don't know what some of those things are right now, but I can see where there's going to be little pockets of a group's doing this, and it'd be great to have a council liaison here, a group's doing this, and I may be assigning you and a staff member to go be our link. Again, I'm not sure that we need to make formal assignments for some of those things, but there's definitely, I can see some of those things starting to evolve, and we'll be reaching out to ask for your help. And if there's areas of interest, we can talk more about that too. So with that, I'll turn it back to the council and happy to answer any questions.
Good. Questions? Good. We'll bring it out to the public for public comment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I think this was a pretty powerful and well put together presentation. Thank you. I guess I'll start backwards and go forward. I think I talked to Mayor Harvey about the idea of using our housing trust funds, which is about $60,000, and giving those funds to fish for housing assistance. I think it's super important that we keep people housed who are housed during this time when people lose their jobs, and if it is going to take time to get those benefits, that's a critical population we can stop from becoming homeless. Apparently, that's not possible based on the way our trust fund is currently written. That's unfortunate, but perhaps later we can make those changes so those funds could be available for that. I'd like to be on the subcommittee regarding the $100,000. I would also just add, I think on the self-care and the baseline anxiety that's going on, I think that that we do have a real crisis, and that is a normal reaction. And parents like me, I have 2 kids at home now, and you're trying to work and keep your business going. It is really hard. So to everybody out there, and I have my dad who can't leave the house anymore because he's 77, so I got to bring him food. So it's sort of like a example person in the town of Sonoma. I got my kids at home full time, destroying my house and trying to make them do their homework while I have to take care of my dad and also make sure I don't go bankrupt. So all of those things are happening, and so I'm not sure how much of that we as a small city can help with, but I think our focus should be on people that are very vulnerable. And with regard to the business community, as somebody who runs a business, I don't know how you shut your doors for weeks unplanned. I don't know how you do that, and it seems like it's going to be really quite difficult. So, I'm committed to doing whatever we can do as a city council and as a community, but this is a very, very difficult time. So thank you, everybody, for working so hard.
Great. Councilmember Hunley, or Vice Mayor Hunley.
Thank you. I will certainly be supporting the $100,000 allocation, and because it is evolving so rapidly, the needs, every 4 hours it does change. For my profession, I advise public agencies, and every time I think I have it figured out, they go and change again. So I think that having the subcommittee and the flexibility there, and I think there could be a lot of non-monetary changes that could happen, but whatever the system's going to be, I guess it would probably be within the city manager's authority to make changes. Some of the suggestions of, say, parking spaces for it to go pick up orders and
Yeah,
It
those
seems to
types
happen
of
so quickly.
those types of things where you might have an encroachment permit or changing rules, we are gonna be as creative as we can be. And I've already been talking to Mark about some of those pieces, so, yes, under the emergency powers, we can be a lot more flexible, and that's what we'll be doing.
And so, yeah, I think that we should be brave to try things out as things come up, and maybe not all of it's going to work, but we might be able to have things that make one day a little bit easier. And then, as far as our local businesses, it's just unfathomable. Like, we thought we had seen a lot by now, and this is like, movie level, just incomprehensible. But I do think that our community has practice in being coming together and being generous, and for through our partnership with the chamber, I hope that we can keep a pulse on sort of where people are in their struggle. And I also know that our community is very generous, and that if we can just hold it together to get through the urgent health crisis part of it, and then we'll have time to try to piece each other back together. But there's a lot of resources in this town, and there's a lot of wealth, and I hope that we can the whole community recognize the needs that are going to be there, but then also figure out a way to sort of put the pieces together. And as far as the community issues that were listed, food insecurity and our senior needs are things that I'm interested in. So if opportunities come up with that, and there's a lot of creative ideas of having some sort of double win with the restaurants and delivery, and I think that even from our generous community, I've heard ideas out there for having funds to support something like that. So it seems like a big coordinating piece is a part of it, because Sonoma always wants to help, and then we just need to figure out how to get everybody in line so that we are maximizing what we can do and rapidly changing. I think that the order that came out for the 6 Bay Area counties, not including Sonoma, I suspect it's going to happen here, and so it's and those businesses, they were reduced to either delivery or to go. So there'll still be opportunities there, but yeah, this is going to be something that changes rapidly. And then perhaps, in a few weeks after the worst of the health threat clears, then there could be creative ideas of how people could start putting more money than they usually do into our local businesses through, I don't know what creative ideas, gift card drives or something, but so I support all of that. And then other than that, I appreciate the hard work of everybody, our staff, Mark, our hospital, our nonprofits, and I think we'll just have to take it one day at a time, and I think that we will get through this together. It's just hard to see how it's going to end when you don't know what the middle looks like.
Great. Councilmember Agramonte, did you have any comments? She can't? Okay, great. So really appreciate the package that was put together tonight. I think it was a really good presentation. Thank you again to Kelly Mather for getting some answers on testing that our community has really had, and on what's going to happen with the healthcare piece. I think that's a question that I think we've answered very well, and I'm glad to hear the answers, though they aren't the answers we want to hear. So it makes a lot of sense there. Thank you, Mark, for being here. I really appreciate your work, and I know your communication with businesses is crucial at this time. Today I met with members of our philanthropic community and members of with Mark and a couple other people to address the issue of food insecurity. We're trying to put together some sort of task force to raise money, to partner with restaurants, to funnel funds through the restaurants to get food to hungry people, to make those restaurants not, making a huge profit, but maybe allow them to stay open and allow them to limp through this. So We're putting in work there in association with La Luz, in association with the community center, with soon with the Vintage Home, with North Bay Rebuild, and with our alcaldesa and a number of other members of this community. And so we're working hard to try to find answers to this extremely difficult situation. I mean, this is going to be, as Mark mentioned, an economic crisis as well. We're going to have the first wave of this pandemic coming through our community. It's going to be a healthcare crisis, and then we're already seeing layoffs, and people are going to be struggling for rent. And, you know, I want to say to every member of our restaurant community, we are thinking about you. We are doing everything that we can to provide what we can to you. And what this small community can do, we will do. We don't have a ton of money and a ton of capacity. The larger scale items like rental assistance, we'll do some on that. But we need a lot of help from the state and the federal government at this time. And that's where we need to look to is to larger entities. But for this city, when we're facing a global pandemic and a following global economic issue, we need to figure out what we can do for our community, and we will absolutely do that. I think we have a fantastic team here. Kathy, I so appreciate your leadership. You've been through this ringer a few times. Same for Mark, same for Kelly, and same for members of this council. So I think we've got a really good team here. We got fantastic staff who are going to be able to get us through this, and so we will do what we can. I would love to be on the subcommittee with Councilmember Harrington to look over some of this funding. And see what we can allocate. I agree that we have to be judicious and make sure that it's going in the right place, because as we know, this system is constantly changing. We may see something coming from the state. Governor Newsom has taken some leadership here, and I heard in his most recent address to California that within the next 2 days, so hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to be hearing information around rental assistance and evictions. With regards to the question of evictions and doing an eviction moratorium here in the city of Sonoma, what are the kind of legal ramifications? What are the enforcement ramifications with such a proposal?
Yeah, so our city attorney, I don't know if we can
I was
get him
saying, can we
back
talk
on?
about that if it's not agendized?
I think we can we can answer the question in terms of broader emergency impacts. Is Jeff Allaby on? Okay. I can give a brief update if we're not able to, based on my conversations with him.
Jeff, can you talk? Can you hear us?
Jeff, can you hear us?
For the record, I'd like the answer to that as well.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know.
Good question.
Yeah.
Why don't we put him on a cell phone? So we can put him on a, why don't we put him on a cell phone?
Can you hear me?
Yay!
You can't hear me.
We can hear you, please, Jeff. You heard the eviction question that was asked by Mayor Harvey? We can hear you, please, Jeff. You heard the eviction that was asked by Mayor Harvey?
I think you're discussing the issue of whether or not the city can impose a moratorium on evictions caused by non-payment of rent due to the coronavirus. Is that what your question is?
That is correct.
Okay. Rebecca's giving me the thumbs up. That's how, the only thing I'm hearing now is, or I'm actually visualizing thumbs up from Rebecca. In this regard, the city attorneys for the County of Sonoma and the County Council's office had a conference last Thursday to discuss the issue of the cities and the county adopting ordinances that would impose a moratorium on such evictions. San Francisco has adopted such an ordinance. San Jose is proposing one tomorrow. It's actually on the agenda for tomorrow's council meeting in San Jose. Today, I was able to contact the city attorney's office in San Jose and had a short discussion with the assistant city attorney in charge of this particular endeavor. He indicated in his view that there is authority that would support a moratorium on evictions, residential evictions, based on non-payment of rent due to causes associated with the coronavirus. He was less confident that such authority existed for imposing moratoria on commercial rents or commercial evictions based on coronavirus issues. And the ordinance that's before the San Jose City Council tomorrow is limited just to residential. And I've reviewed it briefly. He was not willing to share any research that his office had conducted on the issue. But the ordinance basically is a replica of San Jose's existing just cause eviction ordinance. San Jose has an extensive just cause eviction ordinance that lists 13 or 14 reasons that support and would comply with the ordinance's eviction parameters, and they have taken that same ordinance and molded it into an urgency ordinance which modifies the non-payment of rent as a just cause. Most, if not all, just cause eviction ordinances include non-payment of rent as being a valid basis for evicting a tenant. And San Jose's ordinance included such a provision. They're proposing to amend that to create an exception for non-payment due to causes associated with the coronavirus. Now, the remedies that are included in the San Jose's ordinance include seeking injunctive relief against landlords who violate the ordinance, prosecuting landlords criminally for violating the ordinance, and then seeking civil remedies by both the city and the tenant for violations of the ordinance. I do not know whether the city council for the city of Sonoma would be interested in creating a comprehensive just cause eviction ordinance or a modified ordinance, or creating the kind of remedies that are available and have been included in the San Jose ordinance.
I have a question, if Jeff can hear me. Is it, I think I read today that the governor was considering doing
my comments.
a statewide,
Can't hear you.
similar.
Just text him. So ask your question, but slowly.
It appears that the governor is
I can't hear
considering
you.
doing something statewide, modeled on what San Jose is doing in San Jose.
Just like a practical comment, so the Superior Court in Contra Costa is now closed. Some organizations are doing like 2 weeks, but we can assume it'll be longer than that. In general, that's kind of a domino effect. Once one public agency closes, other people get the, courage to do it. And so practically speaking, in order to evict somebody, you must file an unlawful detainer with the Superior Court. If the Superior Court is closed, you cannot file an unlawful detainer, and so there may just be the practical effect of the courts being closed, making it impossible to file an unlawful detainer. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So that may just have that effect, to the extent that the
So the
Sonoma
coronavirus will create a coronavirus eviction
protection. By virtue of the fact that you cannot file an unlawful detainer, in order to evict somebody, you need to obtain like an order for an eviction and then have the sheriff serve it, and you cannot get that if the courts are closed. So that might be the bright side of losing our judicial system temporarily.
Again, my recommendation from council is let's wait and let the governor, because it sounds like he was gonna be putting some orders out, and if this can be done across the state, that would be far cleaner. So maybe we can come back,
And I would agree with that advice broadly. I don't want to overburden staff with the development of a eviction clause or this eviction order, or expect Jeff to start prosecuting these things. I do believe the state is going to come through on this, and if not the state, the county, and if not the state and the county, then the coronavirus itself. I'm comfortable there. Do we have other additional comments from council?
I don't.
Great. One of the things we didn't get direction on is the.
Pardon me, I'm sorry, if you would, Councilmember Agramont, I can't talk this afternoon. She did text in a comment that she would like me to read.
Oh, great, yes. Can you do it in her voice?
She said that she supports the comments. Rachel's talking about ordering out will cash rather than credit help local businesses so they don't have to incur charge costs plus $5 to a tip jar. And she says that she would not like to be on the subcommittee.
Mark, do you want to answer the question from Councilmember Agramonte?
I think, as we said, with a lot of these things, we have competing issues here. There are, as I understand it, and maybe Kelly or somebody could help, I think that there are some issues with cash being something that can carry the germs, and so there is some value in using a credit card. I would worry less about the 1% or whatever the charge is on a credit card and shoot for safety first. One thing I can say is that if you drive down, if you call in an order and you give them your credit card and pick it up from a restaurant rather than using DoorDash or Uber Eats, that is a huge deal for a restaurant. Those services which if your choice is do nothing or use DoorDash, then go ahead and do DoorDash because that'll still help a little bit. However, picking it up, that'll save them 20%. That's the difference between this being something profitable and something that's just barely break even. So if you can take the time, if you're healthy enough to get out there, make that phone call, just go pick it up. All of the businesses I know are taking extra steps to ensure everything is safe. They will walk the thing out to your car. They will do whatever it takes, and we'll all just kind of work together to get this thing done. So yeah, but Madeline, thank you for your comment. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. And with the information around DoorDash and things like that, is that something that the chamber will be pushing out so people are aware of?
Yeah, one of the things we're doing with the Sonoma To Go project is asking people what's their preferred way for somebody to get in touch with them, and what systems they have in place so that we can ask them. I had one business say that Chow Now, there's an app that you can order deliveries on and pick it up, or not deliveries, but a pickup service. And that actually does help them. They don't take a big charge, even if you go pick it up. So it's better than DoorDash or something like that. So we're working on trying to identify those things.
Thank you, Mark. And I really appreciate, I've seen a lot of these presentations, and there's been criticisms of people touching the microphones, but our Chamber of Commerce CEO just sanitizes hands at the mic. So I think we're doing a good job here. We got another comment from Madeline. Good.
Yes, she asks, can a parking space be left open for pickup?
That's actually one of the things Mark and I were brainstorming over the weekend, so it's going to be part of the To Go program. We're looking at creating some variety of stations around the plaza. I'll let you elaborate.
Yeah, the goal right now is to put, working on plans to put 6 A-frame signs up that would be numbered so that somebody can call any of the plaza area businesses and say, I'm at curbside pickup space number 3. We'll give a schematic to all of the plaza area businesses and allow them to do that. However, as I was driving here tonight, it occurred to me there is not much of a parking shortage right now. It's pretty easy to find a spot around the plaza. So I'm not 100% sure. We'll kind of evaluate how effective that's going to be. It could be helpful just in terms of letting people know where somebody is, but we're continuing to work on those plans. But yes, absolutely, I think that's something that we're cooking up.
Really smart.
I hope there's like some kind of protocol for the person who's going between the restaurant and the person in the car, then gloves or whatever. I mean, because we won't know if that person has coronavirus or not.
Yeah, we're going to have to work on those things and in essence give businesses that are participating in that sort of some guidelines and ask them to, do whatever they can to ensure that, I think gloves, I think maybe even going with masks in that situation for somebody who is running food from a business to a car. Let's just be extra safe and err on the side of caution.
Wonderful. Any other comments from Madeline?
She said cool.
Great. Cool. Great. One of the things that we didn't hear direction on from council, I don't think directly, was the issue of extending or canceling all meetings to April 5th. Can I get a little council feedback on that?
Fine.
Seems responsible, and I think staff could use the time to focus on, it's not a vacation, Davis tour, but certainly that makes sense.
Great. Madeline? I'll assume she supports, and we already have a majority I support too. And Madeline's texting, we got a bubble. Great. Is there anything else you need direction on, Kathy? I'm hearing support for the 100,000, support for an ad hoc.
We need a motion, right?
Yeah, I'll need a motion from the council to adopt the resolution. Within the resolution is the authorization for the 100,000. Yes, and then and also a motion on the subcommittee.
Motion to adopt the resolution, allocate the funding proposed, and to form a subcommittee comprised of myself and Mayor Harvey with regard to the $100,000.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Vice Mayor Hunley,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte has texted me yes, and she's in support of canceling the meetings. And Mayor Harvey,
Yes.
thank you, the mayor, the motion carries 4-0-1.
Thank you. All right, on to item 5.1. We'll be continuing item 5.1 to a certain date. Do we have a date for that?
Yes, at this point, we are continuing to May 18th is the date.
Great. And this is an item about the appeal to the Verizon permit, the two appeals that we have here.
This one is a public hearing. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so
we
we
still-
have to do public
I think
comment.
you have to say the words. I'm going to open the public hearing.
All right, so I'll
Just
open-
one, wait,
Oh.
just, sorry. Yes. So if you're gonna open the pub, before you starting this action, then if we have any council member that wants to recuse, they should recuse before we start.
Oh, okay. Because this is about the cell phone towers and they're right across the street from my house, the proposed spot, I am recusing myself. Thanks.
All right. So do we have public comment on the, solely on the continuation of this to a different date? I'll open public comment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Do I have a motion to move the meeting?
What was the date that you said?
May 18th.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the hearing until May
18th.
18th at 6 p.m.
Yes. Should triple check that date.
Can I second? Second? Okay, thank God. Huh?
Yes, you can second.
Okay, good. Second. Roll call vote?
Vice Mayor Hunley,
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte says aye.
Yes.
And Mayor Harvey, thank you, the motion carries 3-0-1-1.
No, 302.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3-0-1-1.
Oh, okay, 30. You are right. Of course you're right. Okay, my bad. Don't tussle with the city clerk. She knows what she's doing. Okay, great. On to item 6.1, discussion and consideration. Amy, if you'd like to come back, you may come back. You may
Well, thank you.
recuse yourself. Okay. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a request to schedule a council discussion by Vice Mayor Rachel Hundley regarding the purchase of the property at 2050 540 Broadway. City manager.
Mayor Harvey, members of the council, per the council's policy, when there's an item that a council member would like to bring forward on the agenda outside of our quarterly agenda process, which is kind of our new process, then the council member emails me and then we place it on the agenda. So your topic tonight is to determine if you want to discuss this item at an upcoming meeting. And the specific request was to look at the city, a purchase of 5 acres of property located at 2054 Broadway, just south of the intersection of Broadway and Napa Road, to be used for affordable housing. There is some basic information we put in your staff report that shows the property. And just to be clear, this was I'll let Councilmember Hunley kind of go through the basics. I just want to be clear, though, on that property is outside the city limits, but it is inside the urban growth boundary, without alternative to Councilmember Hunley. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Hunley, my apologies.
Thank you. So I put in this request the day the news came out that this property was being listed for sale. And of course, the world is looking a little bit different now, just a few weeks later. And I'm certainly sensitive to the other things that staff has going on and other economic considerations and the effect all of that has on our own capacity. But I decided to keep the agenda item on today's meeting because of, this public health crisis that's unfolding around us has only further highlighted the need for stable, affordable housing for our workforce, who are now under extreme financial strain as a result of the health crisis. And affordable housing is something that we've talked about my entire time on the council, which is 5.5 years now. And there hasn't been any big steps to actually create a solution to the problem that we keep recognizing. We just keep talking about the fact that we have a problem. And recently we had the groundbreaking for the Altamira apartment project, which was very exciting, but all of that got started 15 years ago. And if it takes 15 years to get something like that built, then the ball needs to be rolling, on many opportunities that the city sees coming down the pipeline. And something we also know is that there is a very limited number of vacant large parcels within our sphere of influence, and I think that our failure to seriously consider purchasing a lot beside the hospital was a mistake. So here we are faced with a 5-acre parcel that is within the sphere of influence already. That would make for a perfect opportunity for the kind of affordable housing that we have been talking about, and the kind of affordable housing that would, if it existed, help the people that live there be more stable where they are, rather than being somewhere that's something they could barely afford, or somewhere where they are subject to the whims of a property owner who would not have the same considerations as either a nonprofit owner or the city. So I think that this is something that the city should seriously consider, but also as a part of it, since we have not talked about having any acquisitions and the city has not purchased anything since redevelopment days, there's just a lot we don't know about what our financing opportunities are, who our prospective partners could be if we wanted to work together to do something like this, what the channel of communication with the county should be. Altamira, sort of a county-city collaboration. And I think that these are all things that we need to have a better understanding about, so that when a opportunity such as this one comes about, that we have a plan in place to jump on it. And I think it also would allow for a conversation about the steps that we need to do, and if we're going to have a housing trust fund, why it might be important to have a plan for what that is, because it's going to take saving up quite a bit of money to then leverage for other programs. So I think that there is a lot to talk about on this subject, and this happens to be an opportunity to take a very real step towards something that we have talked about a lot.
Councilmember Harrington, any questions?
Nope.
Just one bit of update for the council on this topic. Everything's been moving fast in so many directions. So there are a couple of affordable housing developers, Sonoma County developers, a nonprofit, that are actively looking at the site, asking questions of David, et cetera. So I think there could very well be some partnering opportunities. So just wanted to make council aware that some of the folks that you'd want to partner with are actively looking.
All right, I'll bring it out for public comment, seeing there's no questions. Oh, does Madeline have a question? Oh, okay, we'll get to her when we come back. So bring it out for public comment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Comment from Madeline, let's do it.
She says that she supports Vice Mayor Hunley in this, and she would like to see, as part of the presentation, checking different ways to finance with other cities, nonprofit organizations, and other options.
Councilmember Harrington?
I think and perhaps I'm overly negative, but I think we're on the precipice of a financial meltdown, and that lot that is now, whatever it is, $3.5 million, is not going to cost that next year. And real estate values are going to go down. And with regard to the generosity of philanthropy, people with investments just lost 40% of their entire wealth. And so we are going into a new era that's going to look nothing like any of us have ever known. And it's global, and I'm very frightened. And I think all of our city money should be used to maintain basic city services. That's the top priority. I think a discussion about what vehicles are available in addition to the Housing Trust Fund in general is a good discussion to have. But with regard to this lot on the precipice of what's clearly going to be a major economic decline, which will hit the real estate markets next, I'm not interested in buying at the top of the market. So.
Yeah, I also see cool. I mean, do you want to go next? Okay. I think that we need to have a broad discussion about what we're going to use our housing trust fund for, and who we can partner with and what our funding options are. I think that that's important, and we should have that discussion and have that presentation. With regards to naming a specific property for purchase, I have concerns with that. I think we're going to see, we've gotten news from hotels that they're closing. They're at 3% capacity, and our TOT revenues are going to be significantly shot. I think the city may be in a different place in the next few months. I think it will be, absolutely. And so to start discussing the purchase of a property right now doesn't seem financially prudent. I think it is important that we do have the discussion around what we're going to use our housing trust fund for, what money is available there, what the projections are on that. How do we go about purchasing a property and the rest of it? This property, I think, it's good to know that there are affordable housing developers that are asking questions about that and that there may be opportunities there to partner. But as for the city trying to take a leadership role on purchasing this property, it's not something I'm ready to commit to today.
And I'm certainly not suggesting that we would use any money that would otherwise be allocated for city services for this. These aren't things that you finance out of your general fund. This is a priority for the state. It will be, given the current circumstances, it will be an even bigger priority considering the effects that all of this is having on the workers in California. But the fact is, when the last recession happened and property was significantly less expensive, the city was not in a position to make any such purchases. And if the city is going to wait until it's always in a sort of prime economic position, then we'll be priced out of the market. So I think that, with the economic concerns comes an even greater need for affordable housing, and it has to be something that we constantly keep in mind as to how we can be a part of the solution. And I think that, that this could be moving into a situation where there's resources being offered by the state to cities who have organized plans on how to actually build things, then we could jump on that.
Okay. Any other comments?
No.
No? Okay. Do we need a motion on this, or do we not want to make a motion?
Well, the action would be it's a council decision, but if Vice Mayor Hunley wants to make a motion, but we need clear direction whether we're bringing this back or not.
Certainly.
Okay. I think we have direction. There isn't general support to bring this back at this
She can
time.
make a motion if she wants.
Yes, I'm going to make a motion,
Okay, great.
if I may. I just have to, my app reloaded.
Can I read one more comment from?
Sure.
She says, I agree with Mayor Harvey. We can be open to investigate how this property might be an incentive to discuss or issue of affordable housing. Our police can't live here, which stops them from being part of our community.
Yeah, I mean, of course, affordable housing is going to continue to be the issue. I think, the city has taken strong action on this. I think raising the minimum wage is a piece of that. I think that the development of the Saha project, which is breaking ground now, is a piece of that. I think that our housing impact fees which we have done is a piece of that. I think we have the highest hotel impact fee probably in the state right now. I think our 20% inclusionary ordinance is a piece of that. I think we have taken strong action towards
Housing trust fund?
Our housing trust fund is a piece of that. I think we have taken strong action on affordable housing. So I don't think that we just talk about it. I think that we have made actions on it. I do look forward to a broader conversation of how we might go out and buy a property in the future. And I wouldn't say that we're in, looking for the best financial times. I'd say we are in no financial position whatsoever to purchase a property of this size of $3.5 million at this moment.
I would like to make a motion to bring back the subject of purchasing property for the purpose of building affordable housing. And in the meantime, stay in communication, have staff stay in communication with the nonprofit housing developers to see what their movement is. I think that an ad hominem, I think that the current crisis potentially could be slowing down a lot of things. But I do think that at a future point when staff has capacity to enlighten us on some financing strategies, that we should bring that back.
I don't understand the motion. Are you talking about the specific property mentioned in your item you want to agendize, or just property in general?
Well, it depends on if this property is still around by the time this item would come back. So it would be about this property, but if it's not, then it'd be about purchasing properties in general.
Well, it has to be one or the other, doesn't it?
No.
Okay.
It sounded like property in general since you didn't name the property. I mean, yeah, if this property is something that's for sale at that time and we have money together, then yeah, it could be, but it seems like it's property in general.
I think you said a property.
Yeah, you
So
said
How
a property.
about we try this? That we bring back a discussion on purchasing this specific property. If not available, then generally discuss financing strategies and models for purchasing property for the construction of affordable housing.
I don't see why we wouldn't, okay. Can I make an additional motion?
Well, there's no second,
No,
so the
there's a-
motion fails.
Okay.
Madeline,
Unless Madeline
Councilmember
seconds it.
Agramonte seconded it.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Vice Mayor Hunley,
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington,
No.
Councilmember Agramonte said yes, and Mayor Harvey.
No. I'd like to make a motion that we agendize at a future time, up to the city manager's discretion, a discussion and consideration of how we might purchase a property in the future, and a discussion about what the Affordable Housing Trust Fund could be used for, and how we might partner with groups to purchase a theoretical property in the future.
I support that motion. I like the wording that basically we'll have a study session on the methods available for purchasing property for the purpose of affordable housing development, and all of the possible methods, including the Housing Trust Fund, be considered in that study session. Would that work?
Yeah, just broad range, what can we do with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, whether it's rental assistance and things. That's something that we can bring up at this moment.
And other, like, I don't know if you can, do a bond or whatever. What are the possible mechanisms?
I think we can take that as general feedback. It's not agendized in that way, but, so we can bring back, a study session at some point. Again, I think we are months away from that
6
kind
months
of.
to a year, that's
That
fine.
kind of study session. I do think it's a piece that as we look at, housing element, housing action plan, it's one of the natural steps that we are gonna be looking at, and then it's gonna be backburnered for a period of time.
Great.
So, second?
Okay. Roll call vote?
Well, is this something that we can vote on? How is this within
I'm
the
not
scope
sure
of the
that,
agenda item?
yeah, I'm not sure you can actually, because it was agendized as, I was just gonna say, thank you, it was agendized as one specific property. I think I hear an interest from council members to have this kind of
This was why
conversation.
specifically my motion was about this property, because this is what's on the agenda. Because when I put in the request prior to this crisis, it was because this particular property was for sale. So I was trying to shape it in a way that was about the subject of this, but given the circumstances, perhaps allow a conversation for something related.
Okay, so we've got broad direction,
I
and
think
I understand that.
I'm
Okay.
hearing an interest from council of wanting to look at this topic, and it makes perfect sense, and I do honestly think this was within the bailiwick of what we were gonna be doing before all life went sideways, but.
So whenever we get another quarterly agenda planning, maybe this can just be on there, and if you wanted to vote about whether we were gonna discuss it, we could just talk about it whenever we get to that normalcy again.
Some point of normalcy, we'll get back to it, but I'll put it on our list. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great. Councilmember reports and comments. We continue to work through the Measure M proposal at SCTA. We're looking at the potentiality of a 50-50 split between funding for roads and pothole repair and for bus and bike and pedestrian improvements. I'm trying to push for a measure that will be simple to voters with the advent of multiple tax measures failing. But I think that if we can more than double the amount of funding for roads and potholes, and I'm hoping make a broad fare-free buses throughout the Sonoma City, or the county of Sonoma. If we make every single bus free in Sonoma County, I think that would be fantastic. We've seen major ridership increase on the fare-free shuttle that Madeline Agramonte brought to the city, and we've seen that throughout the county. So that's what we're working on. It would also include a 3 times increase in the funding for bikes as well. So majorly important. I'd also like to comment on, we've got a lot of people who are home, and we do have a survey out about the Broadway streetscape improvement. This has definitely gotten swallowed by the coronavirus as well, but we still need comment on it. I wrote an op-ed and then realized it would be extremely tone deaf for me to put that in the paper, considering what people will be going through in the next few days. But if you are watching this and listening, go to sonomacity.org/Broadway.
It's available on our, if you just go to the, on our front page, Rebecca may find it, but if you just, the little box, on the very front, the kind of the search, and just put Broadway restripe, and it will take you right to the page.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity for the city at no cost to the city to fundamentally change the way that Broadway operates. It would greatly improve pedestrian safety. A lot of the focus has been on the bike lanes, but crossing 5 lanes of traffic is extremely dangerous for a pedestrian. And also crossing 5 lanes of traffic from France to Andrew Street in a vehicle is pretty scary and dangerous as well. So there are some additional benefits. We want to hear from the community because we recognize that this is a major change. Of course, this may get pushed back. I don't know what Caltrans is doing right now with COVID, but we're going through all that. Madeline's got a comment?
No, I was just going to let you know, under frequently requested on the homepage, there's a main button that says Broadway Street restriping survey.
Great. So if you're at home and you're bored enough to want to do some Broadway streetscape, I think it's an interesting project, and I think it's got major implications for the city. So get on there and check that out. Any other council member comments?
My only comment is really to everybody in Sonoma. We are such a fundamentally social town, and so it is so, in addition to all the things that are going on, it is so hard to be apart from our friends, and just, stay safe, everybody, and I hope for good health for everyone. And, one thing I'm going to do, which other people might want to do, is most of my neighbors are over 65. I'm just going to put a note on their door offering to get their groceries for them. There's not that many people that live on my block, but that's something I think we could all do, is offer to go to the store for our neighbors that are over 65 and grab groceries so they don't have to be exposed. So
I think that's fantastic. No other comments? City manager?
No report, thank you.
Jeff Walter, city attorney? I'm assuming no. Oh, he's texting David. Oh, this is horrible. Let's turn this off, and if there are city manager or city attorney comments, please turn it off. Thank you. This concludes the meeting of the Sonoma City Council. No?
Real briefly, Councilmember Agramonte asked me to remind everyone that the meeting was dedicated to Benny Pedronzini.
So our next meeting is April 5th, supposedly?
April 6th.
Oh, 6th.
At this point, that will be the earliest meeting we'll have.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Stay safe.